I like how kick like automatically goes on. That's nice.
Once you get into that, you start getting into a situation to slip.
Hey, what's up,
Welcome to
everybody?
Two-Way Brotherhood, and the quote of the day is support your local glory hole.
Welcome, everybody, to the Two-Way Brotherhood podcast. Awesome introduction, Rob. We got a special guest returning, Todd from Citizen Defense. Last time you were on here was the big debate, right? With American Patriot Defense.
Yeah, and Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was the last time I was on. That was fun. I enjoyed
Welcome
that.
back.
I got a little spicy there for a little bit too. Like I was like I probably had a few too many drinks going into like this kind of conversation, but it was like
It was so good, though, man. It was so
good time. It was a good time.
I remember it was hard to keep a straight face at some points, but yeah.
Yeah. It
The
was
chat-
fun.
Mainly,
yeah,
I mean,
that was going
the
wild.
topics were great, but the chat was like making it hard to have a straight face.
It was pretty
There were a
brutal.
lot of times I was like trying so hard to keep a straight face and not just bust out laughing. Like the chat was so wild, and that's what I had to tell him at one point. I'm like, dude, I'm not laughing at y'all. Like, I'm laughing at everything else going on here to the side.
Yeah. No, I think the one that got me, I mean, really nice guy, but the one that got me was when I think you were asking about if he's zeroed, if he's shooting at 15, he's 0 to 15, and he's shooting at 20, where is he aiming? And he said the chest, and it was like 5-yard difference, and he's, trying to shoot in the head, aiming at the chest. Or something like that was what you were
saying. He was saying like the bullet drop would have been more steep, even though he was like standing so close to the target.
Yeah, it was like almost a foot for 5 yards or something like that.
Yeah, it was like it's the math ain't mathin', bro.
Yeah,
I partially think he might have been. He didn't seem nervous, but like, come on,
he was
like
on
as
the
a
spot, bro.
licensed instructor, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, as a licensed instructor, like you would know that is not correct.
Mhm.
That math, like you said, that math ain't mathin'.
Yeah,
but
yeah, no hard feelings against him at anything, right? Like it was
great guy.
It was fine. It was just kind of there were some things said in the comment section that really we were trying to clarify and we're hold up, this don't make sense, right? And it kind of comes down to like the context of you don't know what you don't know kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And it's not really trying to like I really don't want to shit on people, right? There are some people out there that are going to get people hurt. I do think that he's trying to do the best that he can, especially in New Jersey, all this kind of being fresh and new and things like that. But there are some things that, you should kind of refrain from if the experience level isn't quite there, right? Because there are some things that that people will ask me about in classes, and I'll tell them like, look, I'll give you my opinion or my take on this, but take it with a grain of salt because like this is not my area that I operate in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to be transparent with people on that.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can be. If you don't know the answer or you don't know the actual answer, just be honest and transparent. And if how you do it isn't how everyone should do it, just be honest and open about that. You shouldn't blow it out to where you're the one that's right, even though you know for a fact that it's not how it is.
And then, you don't want to be the one who's like giving out false information and then that come back on you. And now you're held accountable for
Oh yeah.
potentially
100%.
dangerous.
I mean, it
Yeah.
can definitely be. I mean, the thing about that is when it comes to training, right, is there are a lot of guys out there that are putting out very poor information. I mean, if y'all follow Eric, Fat Guy Cool Hat on Instagram, he is like calling out instructors left and right, man. And I typically was not really in that, mindset of doing that, just because it's like, hey, don't start no shit, won't be no shit kind of mentality. But the more I see it and the more that I see others, poor information being put out there, I realize like, hey, there are folks out there taking people's hard-earned money because they don't know what they don't know. And they're giving them information that it's not going to fall back on them because they're not going to be there for their gunfight or their self-defense encounter, right? So
Yeah, that's very true.
the person that they took that training, if they default to that, they're going to end up getting people hurt, right, or killed. And that's not only the lives of their students, the lives of their students' families, people associated with them, friends, all that. They're changing lives doing that. So, I mean, we got to take what we're doing seriously, right? It's not a lighthearted thing to get into, and a lot of people do that. Like, yep, I'm going to jump in to do a firearms training, self-defense stuff, and charge people money for it, and they just really don't think that deep into it. I think is part of the problem with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the other issues I see with it is this community, right? The 2A community is such a touchy subject for a lot of people. We are in a place to where any bad negative light really affects the whole environment, everyone in it. And so when you start putting out bad training and bad advice, and people aren't doing things the proper way, and makes us look bad, to where you go and you do a self-defense shooting, right? And you accidentally shoot someone that is not a threat, is not a target, because you're not being trained properly, you're not training properly, you're not practicing right. It's going to make us look bad,
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same idea of, bad news travels faster than good news, right? That's kind of whenever, same thing with any type of shootings, right? If there's somebody that, was, whether it's, let's take mass shootings for an example, right? If a mass shooting happens, and media is all over that. But if there's an attempted mass shooting and an armed citizen stops it before it gets anywhere,
oh yeah, for sure,
that's radio silence, right? So it's same thing.
I mean, look at the there was an incident a few years back where a young man had stopped a threat in a mall, right?
Oh, you talking about God dog, what was his name? Eli Dickens.
Yeah, he stopped a threat in a mall. I think it was like a young 19-year-old man, and he stopped a threat, and that was big news for all of about like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
For our community, it was for a little bit longer, but in the sense of everyone else, 2-3 days max, it was news. Everyone forgot about it, right? But
And
then
also, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but and also those 3 days they were just talking shit about him. The fact that he wasn't supposed to have a firearm in the mall.
Yeah,
and it's like, aren't you happy that he stopped this from happening? But you know what I mean? But that's what they were centering on.
I think Wyoming I think it was Wyoming that got rid of gun-free zones.
Yeah. But
right.
then also if you look at like any of the school shootings, that shit's big news for weeks, like just like you were saying, to where you do the right thing, no one hears about it, everyone still shits on you. Bad news travels faster than good news. It's the same thing that happened real life right there,
And that was great news that he stopped that shooting. And he still got shat on.
Like,
You remember
it wasn't a chip shot either, right?
Yeah.
He engaged the dude from 40 yards and then closed ground from there. Like that's that takes a level of confidence that a lot of people don't have.
Exactly.
So that was very impressive at that part. But yeah, that they had that. I'm trying to remember. I don't recall for sure. I remember them making that stink about like, well, it was a gun-free zone. He shouldn't have been armed, and he chose to. But we're going to let it slide because you stopped a mass shooting kind of thing, And it's like, because what was like, you can't tell me that the moment that property decided to trespass that guy or charge him for any of that stuff, that they were not going to be put on blast for a local hero, right? A guy that stopped mass murder. They would not have recovered from that. So they from a PR standpoint, they knew what they were doing. Yeah, Clint makes a good point too here about talking about different instructors and training, and that's egos are a big issue too. Egos are one of the biggest issues in the gun space, in my opinion. Right there, and people, egos, along with, I would say, idolizing certain people, right? Like they go and train with somebody, or they buy into whatever they're selling them. And then because I've put videos up on YouTube about like grip and things like that, and like a certain way that you grip the gun, I've expressed like, hey, I don't think that, I've never found any merit in this. I've never found any benefit in this. Like, this technique or this style of gripping the pistol this way doesn't yield the performance results that I'm looking for. And to me, I think this is more of a snake oil-ish kind of like a Band-Aid fix. Like, I'm going to tell you to do these couple of things with this logic behind it, but it really doesn't translate to. And dude, I've caught flack from people. Well, this guy I like does this, and this dude does this, and it's like, don't care. Don't care, man. Like, I'm telling you what I've experienced and what I've worked with, and where I've yielded the best results from. And that's the place that I'm coming from, right? Like, if you do that and it works for you, rock on, man. Like, I'm not going to tell you what works for you doesn't work, right? I'm just going to tell you that I've had people tell me, hey, you need to do these things because this is a way to do it, because of you lock your wrist and you grip real high on the gun and all these places, taking up all this stuff. And it's like, you just end up fighting with the gun instead of getting what you're looking for out of it, just.
Yeah. One of the things that I was talking to somebody yesterday, actually, he's I've worked with this guy for about 4 years now. And he's always told me how he concealed carries everywhere. And then I asked him, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, that's completely fine. But yesterday I asked him if he goes training all the time. Like, if he told me he hasn't shot in 5 years. Damn. Like, I was like, you haven't shot a single bullet in 5 years? And he was like, nah. And he was like, I just don't have the time. And I was like, like, your shot gets worse. Like, your shot gets worse really fast if you don't practice it. He was like, well, I mean, I've always been a pretty good shot. I'm like, okay. And that's
kind of like the grew up with the pawpaw on the back 40 kind of mindset, right? It's I've seen a lot of guys do that, and I like. Ultimately, I say that because I'm speaking from experience, right? I grew up in the outdoors. I grew up around firearms. I grew up hunting, shooting, things like that. But I shot more of in a sporting capacity, right? Not necessarily like a performance capacity. So, like, what I do now, right, which I don't think is anything amazing in the standards of performance of today by any means. But compared to when I was 21 years old, I didn't know shit, dude. Like, I knew nothing compared to that time in my life, right? So, but at that time in my life, I thought I knew a lot. Kind of like the teenage mentality kind of thing, right? I know everything I need to know about it, kind of deal. And I had good marksmanship, right? But it was just performing at a certain level, there was a different understanding of that at that time.
Yeah, like starting this podcast has been like an eye-opening experience. Like meeting everybody that we've met and all the high-level shooters that we've talked to, and actually like seeing these people shoot, and it's like there is people like, I've said this a bunch of times on this podcast, but there's people like this out there. And if the common person shoots once a year and this person is shooting this many times and is this fast and he could draw that weapon, it's like you have the common citizen has no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, it's you know, and the thing about it is, like, we definitely talk about training, right? We want to have a higher level of skill on demand so that hopefully when the time needs it, that, you know, we always hear the term, you revert to your lowest level of training. But we also have to acknowledge that untrained people win fights all the time too, right? And people get lucky. And so there is a certain level of good enough, right? Where you can easily get caught up in standards and quals and things like that. Well, I have to be able to do this. I have to be able to do that. Is this good enough for what I'm looking for? Well, if you win the fight that day, then that was good enough, right? Regardless of what that would have translated to on a timer or your hits on the range, right? You won. That was good enough. And ultimately, that's what we're looking for as citizen defenders.
Yeah. There's this one trainer, I've seen him all over the internet. I forgot his name. He's like an older white gentleman. He's got like white hair. He's got kind of like a raspy voice. But one of the things that he said that actually made me carry a extra mag, not only if there's like a malfunction, but he was like, he said the fight's gonna last as long as you have ammo.
Oh, you're talking about Clint Smith.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah. I've never trained with them. I like his content, what he's put out. I've heard some stuff about his training facility that I'm not going to get into because I haven't experienced it before. But yeah, I mean, it's a concept that same idea goes across the board, right? And it also comes down to, you know, your lifestyle, right? What can you accommodate within your lifestyle, right? I mean, clearly we're not, most of us, I don't know about some of y'all, but most of us, we're not really white collar guys, right? We're not in a business office. We're not, you know, at a desk and things like that all the time. But there are people that do live that life. One guy that is very prominent in the gun space that talks about this is Alex Sanson. He goes by the Suited Shootist on YouTube, and he's local to the Houston area, close to us. And really good guy. I've talked to him a few times. And he really dives deep into like the idea of the concealed carry for the white collar lifestyle, men's fashion, clothing like that, living with a gun when you dress that way. And he does a phenomenal job breaking that down. And so you look at a lot of things. One of the biggest methods of carry that he uses is a Filster Enigma. So he tends to carry below the belt line when he's wearing dress clothes, so it allows him to conceal carry. He may not be quite as fast off the draw, but it gives that ability to where nobody's going to, you know, be able to see that standing right next to him. And ultimately, he talks about the big deal of, you know, having good concealment, being polite, not being lazy about it, and things of that manner, because we don't know who we're going to come in contact with that could be coming towards our side of the aisle. And if we're lazy about it and on our concealment, and we have the mentality of fuck them, it's my country, my right, I can do what I want, like we're not winning any arguments. We're not winning any conversations with that kind of attitude, right? So he really talks about that. So I highly suggest looking into him. He'd probably be more than happy to come on y'all's podcast too. He's a really cool dude.
Okay. Send me his name on TikTok and I'll track him down and try to get him on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's mostly on. I know he's not on TikTok. Well, he was trying to do TikTok for a while. I don't know if he was staying on it, but he's mostly on Instagram. He has a Facebook group, and then does YouTube. So
yeah,
that's the link.
That's what I'm finding out, that TikTok for the 2A community did not change after this fake ban or the ban thing happening. I thought we were going to get a little more traction.
I think everything's still kind of in the air, right? They're trying to figure out how to approach this, what they're going to do. So it's, I didn't have any hopes on it. I didn't delete it before that happened. I was kind of waiting to see.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm kind of shocked that they don't want to, part ways and have an American owned, but I mean, nobody's stepping up to say like, hey, we want it either. So I don't know. That's a whole different.
Yeah, Elon passed on it, and I think Mr. Beast was talking about maybe buying it, but he's not going to change it, and he's just going to keep it the same as Mr. Beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might use it to push his own stuff a little more, but
like the pedophilia he runs around with.
His homeboys.
His homeboys. That's a transformer that was diddling little kids.
You mean the home girl?
Nah, homeboy.
I know, I'm joking.
We could say that now.
Mm-hmm. Trump's president.
Dude, everyone's been more outspoken ever since he got in office. Like even Michael Jordan, he went on record saying that he doesn't think pride flags should be in schools, and that it's only like boys shouldn't play against girls after a certain age.
Because a lot of people feel that way, but the issue is that so many people are afraid of the backlash. Mm-hmm. I feel like if most people just spoke what they felt and not be afraid, then they'd realize there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way they do.
And I mean, it's kind of, clearly I don't understand the repercussions of some of that stuff because I'm not somebody at that level like Michael Jordan. Clearly, I'm not doing that well for myself. But it's kind of the thing of, if you felt that way before, why do you have to wait for a presidency to change to start speaking out about that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, me and my wife talk about issues with that, in the future with our kid and things like that, other people that we've associated with and their perspective of things versus ours. And it's like we don't try to drag people through the mud. We don't shout it through the rooftops. People ask our opinion, we'll give them our opinion. And we make our choices based on our morals and our values, and that's about where we leave it. We really don't, I guess you could say we really don't put up with anything. We try to adhere to what we believe in while respecting others, if that makes if that works well, right?
I'm the same way, man.
And so I can get it. Somebody at a level like Michael Jordan, right? He's in the public eye of the world, right? So if he says something like he's got a whole shit can of worms that he opens doing that versus somebody else speaking out at their local city council meeting, right?
Yeah, that nobody cares about. Yeah. Or they get signed up for the terrorist watch list because you don't want your kid to learn about freaking cutting their wiener off. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, it's wild, and it's that stuff there. I will say, like, I feel it was definitely on the extreme end about the middle of Biden's presidency, but now I feel like we've kind of peaked and we're coming back down now. I think it was one of those things like it was popular. People are getting recognition for it, talking about all this stuff. So it's like, I'm going to jump on that train and I'm going to ride it. And people are still trying to ride it. And it's like, we're starting to come to a stop now, right? We're running out of tracks for this. And folks are just trying to hang on to that. And I think that's where it's going now. I kind of feel like things are while people are screaming on one side of the aisle, like, this is crazy and I can't believe this stuff, like, I do feel like things are trying to kind of come back to morale or your normalcy. Because we talked about that before. Like in Houston, they have God dog, I forgot what street that is. Anyways, it's where they have their pride parades, and we talked about that with friends before. It's like, before all this, people tried to shove it down folks' throats. No one cared what you did, right? It's like, hey man, you're gay, cool, like, rock on, dude. Like, I don't care.
Right.
Like, your lifestyle is not imposing on mine. Do what you want. And nobody bothered them. They didn't bother anyone else, and life was fine, right? So yeah, it's one of those things that I think it was just kind of trying to get force fed to people, and folks that are like, hey, that's a little too much, right? You're imposing on my life now, and I don't get down with that. So
I've always
there
been
was a
that
dude.
way. Oh, go ahead.
No, there was a dude. I forgot his name. It starts with an M. He's a black gentleman, and I put him on our Instagram, and he was actually talking about the alphabet people. And he basically said the reason why they're going to schools and making it so prominent in schools is because they have to recruit because they cannot reproduce.
Yeah.
So that's why they're going after the kids as young as possible, because if they don't get them while they're young, then they can't get them when they're older. So it's like, 2 + 2 = 4. But also, did you know that you could be a boy if you're a girl, or the other way around? And it's like straight up recruitment. Like,
yeah, I've heard that from some other guys talking about that before. So I mean, it makes sense, right? It does. But yeah, so we're 27 minutes in here. Let's transition over what we were going to talk about. Yeah, so whenever I was supposed to come on last time before I got called out to work, we were going to talk about some home defense stuff and then some vehicle considerations. For everybody out there, I don't typically get into the conversation of tactics, mostly because most people that when they get into tactics, like shooting around, barricades and trying to figure out cover, concealment, shooting from odd angles, vehicle CQB, which is a buzz term now in the gun space. I don't get into any of that stuff because most of the people can't shoot at an adequate level to even before they can even consider start applying these tactics, right? So I that's not even something that I get into. So we can start off about home stuff, right? Do y'all have any questions that I can fire off towards, like, or considerations?
Well, a lot of people that we talk to on here, they say to stay in place. Do you agree with that? Like, someone breaks in, don't go searching.
Depends. It depends if you have family in the house, right?
Yeah, that's what they said too.
If it's just you, say it's you and your spouse, and you hear that somebody's broke in, yeah, that's like somebody not. You hear stories about people that they get their house broken into because somebody was knocking on the door at 3 a.m. They open the door and they force their way in the house. First question is, why are you answering your door at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. Yeah. If somebody is in your home, they are, the best thing you can do is, if you're armed, get to a place that allows you some sort of cover where you are prepped on that doorway. Right. And then call 911, get on the phone with them, tell them what happened, tell them where you are in the house. And then, you hear somebody coming through that door, like, it's in God's hands then for that guy, right? So, yeah, it's definitely better to stay in place. Now, if you have, because you're going to have a bigger advantage, your home, right? That guy doesn't. So if you have a door that's closed, he doesn't know what he's going to catch on the other side of that. So you have the advantage of surprise, the advantage of the ambush there to try to resolve that situation. Now, if you're like me and you have kids in the house and they're on the opposite side of the house, or their rooms far down the hall, whatever the layout is of your home, you're probably going to have to make a decision to go through the house, right? Because you don't know what's happening. That is a time that, it's difficult, because you're going to have to, if you're the only armed person in that house, you're going to have to make a decision to go for one and leave the other, right? So, like, say if you're, something happens, you got to get to your kid, wake your wife up, tell her to call 911. Like, if you're the only one that's armed, you're going to have to move through the house, and you're leaving your spouse vulnerable, right? So those are considerations that you have to have given the context of your situation of your home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty blessed to where my kid's room is, basically you have to pass my room to get to my kid's room. I'm pretty blessed in that sense to where the layout of my house is pretty desirable for that aspect of, if someone breaks in my house, you're not getting to my kid.
Yeah. I would say if you had a home layout, if there was a home layout that I would say would be ideal, like for defensive situation, that would be a 2-story home. Everybody's bedroom's on the upper story, and you can prep on the stairs, right? And you're at a higher level at an advantageous position. And they're in a fatal funnel at that point.
Yeah.
Clint here says, draw a line, let them know they messed up. Announcing to, you can easily announce to the intruder, hey, I have a gun. If you come through the door, I'm going to shoot you. Get out, leave, all that stuff. And that depends on the intruder, right? Their intent, how determined they are. Are they there just to grab some goods and leave because they think you're not home and you're out with the missus? Or are they more dedicated than that? So those are considerations that you have to take in. There was actually a video that came out not long ago, very recently. I want to say it was in Michigan. And the dude had cameras all throughout his house. It was wild. But 2 guys broke into the house. They apparently had his roommate, got his roommate, held him at gunpoint, tied him up. And then you have a camera in the room, and the guys, and clearly this is Monday morning quarterbacking, right? So this is what I saw from the video, is that his gun handling skills were not there, first of all. So it's a pretty small room. He's got his girlfriend's laying in the bed, which you can't tell. It just looks like a pile of blankets. And then he's standing like feet, like right in front of the door. And he's like grabbing he's got his handgun in this hand with his fire, and he's like grabbing the slide almost over the top. It's very, very, very poor skill development, right? And the intruder pops the door open, the other dude shoots, and they both shoot each other. The girlfriend got hit. They all survived. But it was kind of the thing of like, he was just standing right in front of the door. If he'd have got his girlfriend up and off to the side away from that door, it gave him a better ability to have a better angle to get shots off on that dude coming through the door than, before he could get shots on him.
Yeah.
There was a dude sometime last year. These 2 people broke into his house, and he had cameras. I thought that's what you were going to talk about, but he had cameras in the house. And then he basically planned, because these guys were going around his neighborhood and just doing B&Es over and over again, because I guess they didn't think anybody had guns, or they had mapped out when everybody wasn't home. Mm-hmm. So they would always go in when people weren't home. So he basically planned on to kill these two, and he was like waiting in his living room and watching these people about to break into his house, and his stupid ass was recording everything that he was saying. He's like, "Oh man, here they are. I finally get to kill them." So, which is murder.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're planning on. I understand they're breaking in your house, but you are planning on them
Premeditated.
breaking. Yeah, exactly. And he was about to get away with it until they found this other phone in his house, and they downloaded the data off of it, and it's him just recording himself the whole time, watching these two come, like, go up his lawn. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, they think I'm not home, but little did they know they're about to fucking die. And he killed both of them. And now he's I think he's getting a double murder charge, or at least like second degree.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some crazy stuff out there that happens. I will say too, one of the wildest stuff you've been seeing of like the videos, the ring stuff with the carjackings, right? Like guys pulling up with AKs and stuff, like, and like some of the stuff of what they're doing, like, are there ways you could approach this? Depending on how dedicated you are, right? Because there's one that I saw. It's like 3 dudes pull up to jack a truck out of the driveway. One of them's got an AK, and he's got it like held on the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They know there's a camera there. They're telling him, "Do not come outside. We will shoot you." Could that person in the house like leave, come out the back door, and flank him and do something like that? Yeah, they could. Could that person also get shot? Yep, they could. So people always talk about on the internet, well, I'd go around and I'd do this and I'd flank this person, do that. It's like,
nope.
Or you could just stay in the house and call the cops, and
Yeah.
when they recover your vehicle, they'll get it back to you. If you need to claim it on insurance, you claim it on insurance. That's what it's for,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep. My line in the sand is I could replace property. Okay. My family can't replace me.
100%.
If you come at my family, you're gonna die, or I'm gonna die trying to make you die. If you come
To
at my
make
family.
you die.
Yeah.
To make you die, god dang it.
Don't kill him. You stop the threat.
If you come at my truck or my car or anything that's property, that I don't care. That's property, right? Whatever. Like you said, I'll call the police. I'll get them involved. I'll call insurance. I don't give a shit. My line in the sand is my family. That's it. That's point blank.
Well, since we're talking about trucks and shit, Todd, what would give us your opinion on what to do if you're in your truck, right, and you have to use force?
So, excuse me.
Run them over.
That's another thing. That's a game plan as well, or a possibility as well, right? It's the same thing as always, right? It falls into the context of how you find yourself in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
We see, and I talk about this all the time in my classes, because road rage is like very, very common issue these days, and it's wild. How when people feel wronged or that they need to prove themselves right, like once they get in their head with that, what they're willing to do. So I'm always cautioning people about, getting involved in any road rage situations. Now, the good thing is about being in a car is that as long as you have somewhere to go, you can just drive away.
So, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just fucking leave. But we don't always find ourselves in positions where we can do that. Think about traffic stopped at a red light, right? We may be in jam-packed traffic and we don't have anywhere to go. So at that point, things change a little bit. Now, I will say you need to know you need to know that you can draw or access your firearm when you're in your car, right? Ideally, it's best to have it on your person. there are people that carry at the 4 o'clock or the 3:30 position, like the slant of the back. That can be very comfortable position, but to me, it's not advantageous, especially from a seated position, right? And when you're in a seated position, you're trying to get around the seat belt, all that stuff. Strong side is the furthest I would go for a carry position. Appendix carry is ideal. Is going to be the most effective from a seated position. Now, also, if you're carrying appendix, staging yourself in your vehicle to be able to act is going to be ideal, right? So if you have your cover garment and you're sitting in the car and you have your seatbelt over your cover garment, that's probably not going to allow you to be too effective, right? Trying to fight that seatbelt. So what I do when I'm in a car is I put my seatbelt on, pull my cover garment out and over the seatbelt, right? So my seatbelt is over my pant line, not over my garment, and I have free, unrestricted access to my firearm with my seatbelt on. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a way to approach that as well. The big cool kid stuff that you see nowadays a lot is people shooting through windshields. That's a big deal. That when it comes to shooting through windshields, we need to keep in mind that typically most rounds are going to have some deviation, right? They're not, once they hit that glass at that angle, they're typically going to go up or down, depending on where we're impacting on that glass. Clint probably in here probably has more experience about that than I do. There are rounds out there, like the solid copper jacket rounds, like the G9, the fluted rounds, and things like that. Those are designed to have the ability to penetrate objects like windshields, doors, drywall, and maintain that level of trajectory and still have good penetration into a body, right? So those rounds seem to do well going through barriers like that, but we're going to have deviation. Now, that's kind of cool to experiment with on a range, but what are we doing when we're out in public and there are other people, right? We need to be very accountable of where our rounds are going. Like for me, shooting through the windshield is like an absolute, like, I got to do something. Like right now, that is my only option that I have, because then I kind of lose my vision, right? And the other thing about shooting through a windshield is it's going to make like that dust or that glass particulate, right? It's going to be in the dust. You're going to be breathing that shit in, and that's not going to be a fun time for afterwards either. So you have health issues with that you have to be concerned about as well. But yeah, shooting through the windshield stuff, I don't think is like the top consideration. You do need to be able to access your gun and get it and then being able to shoot through, shoot from an angle, like lean back in the seat to be able to shoot through the passenger side window, the driver's side window, things like that. Now, there are guys that have had, you've seen videos of, they have their window up. Somebody comes up to their car, raising a gun, pointing at them, and they just pop them through the window right there, or that side panel right there. That there is 100% acceptable, right? Like, I get it. You have the advantage of the ambush through the tent at point blank range, right? That's totally acceptable. There are other people that they walk up to a window that is rolled down and they start pointing a gun at them and they get shot in the face, right? Because they're more worried about making a point. So ultimately, if you can get away, get away. If you can make space, make space. If you can't, make sure that you can access your tools. That one right there. Yep. Now, see, here the thing with this one is, so if you notice, he walks up to the vehicle with the gun in his right hand. When he has his hands down, he switches hands, and then he comes up like this with the one that he had the gun in his hand. And I'm pretty sure that dude in the truck was positive that, he's pointing a gun at me, and so he shot him in the face. Granted, he could have shot him way sooner than he got to his than he got to his door.
Did you notice how he punched the door with the hand that he's holding the gun in?
Yes.
Mm. So does it show him getting shot in the face, or do they cut it off?
This is
the Blitzy right there.
This is the uncensored version.
Oh, let her roll.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I remember looking at the report on that. That dude didn't.
Ooh.
Pump 2.
Right? Pop. That was 3.
But the whole situation with that video too is that dude in the white truck was also a part of leading to that road rage incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like that completely could have been avoided, and that dude didn't have to die if egos would have just been put aside.
Yeah. One thing I want to touch on is you were talking about like prepping for when you're carrying in a vehicle. So I also carry appendix, right? Unless I'm wearing sweatpants, then I carry on the hip. But I noticed that when I get in a car, right, and I'm seated, I do the same thing, but I have a little bit of a gut and I carry a little bit deeper concealed.
Don't we all, man? Don't we all?
Yeah. So, but I carry a little bit deeper concealed. You know, my holster actually goes deeper into my pants and everything. So what I find myself doing is I actually kind of prop it up and over my gut, so it's kind of sitting kind of vertical, and then I put my cover garment over that, and then same thing with my belt or my seat belt goes, you know, to where it's out of the way if I'm wearing, you know, whatever. But that's how I find myself prepping. There are times to where if it's a longer car ride, if I'm going out of state or, you know, somewhere further away, I generally find myself taking it out of my pants and actually in between the seat and my center console. Just so that way it's not jamming into me the whole car ride. But yeah, I do that same thing where I prep with carrying appendix when I'm in the car.
Yeah, so it's long car rides and stuff like that. It can be difficult, right? I mean, let's be real. But yeah, making sure that you have it at a point where you can access it is going to be ideal.
Yeah,
dude. Ever since the fast, and I lost some more fat. When I carry now, my hip hurts because there's less fat there, and it just keeps rubbing on the bone. I'm like, God dang, man. I'm like, I never thought losing weight would make this more uncomfortable. I thought it'd be the opposite.
Are you carrying strong side?
Yeah.
So there's Vetter holsters. I don't use much of their products. I did a video on it. They sent me a new pad that they had made for me to kind of test out and give their review. It's not beneficial for like appendix carry, but if you're carrying strong side like that, it will give you some sort of space, some padding in between there from that skin contact. So it may be something for you to consider. I think they're only like $45 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in something, you can look that up.
Does it like go through your clip?
No, it just goes through the. So are you carrying outside the waistband or inside the waistband?
Inside.
Okay, yeah. So all it's going to do is it's got a Velcro, a piece of hook and loop. So you're going to have the Velcro stick to your holster, and then the pad sticks to that. It just sticks to the back of your holster.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I saw I forgot who it was. There's a guy I follow on Instagram. He had a pad for to help push it in towards you more, because a lot of people complain when they're appendix carrying, you can see the tail of the gun, and apparently this little pad kind of like pushes it more inside of you, so it's like a little more concealable.
Yeah, that's a holster wedge. I use one as well. It makes appendix carry a lot more comfortable. It adds a better layer of concealment because, exactly like you said, it kicks the holster out in the grip of the gun closer into your body, because typically the hardest part to conceal is the grip, not the length of the slide, because that portion is in your pantalones. So that's those help with that a lot. The one I like the best is it's from Mastermind Tactics. It's literally like a little pillow that goes on the back of your holster and right there around your junk. So it makes your day nice and comfy. I can wear mine all day with that thing. So they make one to where they have ones that are set to a certain thickness or a certain size, and then they have one that it has Velcro patch, so you can like open it up, you can pull material out, put material in depending on how much you need or don't need, and you can adjust it to you. So I highly recommend one of those. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wedges are a big deal. I've done the DIY yoga block ones, and they're still kind of hard. They make a little hot spot. They're not that great.
Are they typically universal, or like they holster
Yes.
specific?
Yeah, it's just a pad because all they're doing is the same thing. You just slap some Velcro with like it's got some 3M tape on the back of it, and you just stick it in there, and you stick the pad on there too. It just Velcros to it.
So what's a good brand for it, I guess?
Mastermind Tactics.
Okay.
That's the brand.
I didn't know if you said it and I didn't hear it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I know.
Does it help with the gut for Austin? Because he's got to tuck the gut, put the gun over.
I know a lot of guys that have larger guts, and they appendix carry fine, and they even use a wedge. And their problem typically is that the bottom of the holster tends to drive into their pelvic region because they're pushing it.
Yep, that's mine.
Yeah, so the wedge will help with that because it's going to give you separation from that, some padding and support, as well, kind of bringing it back towards your body to help them with some.
Yeah. Like I said, I carry deeper. For the reason of, I have the gut and everything. So I wasn't really too concerned about, I don't have too much of an issue where the grip sticks out, but it's the fact of once you started talking about that, that's immediately what I thought of is the driving into my pelvis and everything. And, and that's the most uncomfortable part for me, but I kind of like learned to deal with it. But if that helps, then yeah, I'm actually about to probably order one of them right now.
Yeah, 100%. Get the adjustable one, the one that you can pull filling out, put it back in. That way you can adjust it to exactly what you need. There's some guys that are like Susie homemakers, man, and they like got sewing machines and they make their own shit and stuff, and it's like that ain't me. Like I found like some yoga block foam and was cutting my own stuff on the bandsaw at work, right? Like I'd get it close and try with different shapes and sizes, figure out what works. But even then, to me, that's still a little too dense. So it doesn't quite give me what I was looking for.
Yeah, I see they got a pad and a wedge. So I think the wedge would probably be better. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm gonna pick one of these up.
Y'all been out to the range anymore with Josh or anyone?
I was talking to him, and he's down to train us some more. We just got to let him know. Nice. The Be More Tactical guys that we had, the guys that were from Baltimore, they might be doing an outside shoot coming up.
Cool.
Crypto Ken's gonna let me know. I was gonna ask you guys tonight if you guys were able to go, if it happens on that date. But
which date was that?
I think he said March 9th. So next Sunday.
Yeah, I should be able to go. I need to get ammo. So I don't know if I'll be able to get ammo in time.
You go to bulkammo.com. Oh no. Well,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they'll ship in time.
I know Bulk Ammo will. Every time I order from Bulk Ammo, it's at my house in 2 days.
What prices are y'all getting on stuff up there?
So Josh gave me this one website, and for 9mm 115 grain blazers, last time I checked was like a month ago, but they were $230. with free shipping for 1,000 rounds.
Damn, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
We got. And what was that? What website was that?
It was like Bentley. I'm using my phone as the camera, but I'll send it to you on TikTok. Yeah, they have really good prices, and and then some of them come with ammo cans.
Nice. Yeah. There's a place out of Houston. They manufacture their own stuff. It's called 2A Warehouse. And so they sell like name brand stuff, off brand Turkish shit. And then they do load their own in-house stuff as well. So typically I'll buy either their in-house new brass. Actually, I've shot like thousands of rounds of their Reman brass. It's like one time fired brass, and I'll buy them in like 500 round cans, right? And they come with the little plastic ammo box and stuff, whatever. But they're typically about around the same thing, about 200. By the time they ship it and tax, it's like 220, somewhere around there. But it's the same thing, right? Because they're right down the road. I typically get it in like 2 days.
Well, I know Bulk Ammo. They used to be in PA. I think they like went somewhere west. But last time me and Rob ordered ammo from them, I was at my house in 2 days still. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to look them up. This last round where I usually source stuff, because there's a match coming up this month, and then I got a class coming up this month, and I'm like, I did a private class last weekend with a guy, and I used all the rest of my ammo doing stuff because I spent some time out there afterwards. So I used all the rest of what I had. I was like, all right, order some more ammo. Got on, out. This website's out. And I'm like, shit. I'm starting to look at all these different places that I haven't looked before, trying to find ammo, like scouring the interwebs.
So I think the name is Borelli. If maybe. What the hell is this? Let's see. They have PNC in stock. Let's see what they got for 9mm. So let's pick 1,000 rounds. 115, 9mm. Oh, they don't have any more $1,000 cans.
You can find us on TikTok.
Have y'all seen the Acre ammunition guy on TikTok? He's kind of like a home loader dude. He pretty much sells ammo out of his shop, or out of his garage. He funds some local businesses, but he's based out of Florida. He seemed like he had some decent prices too.
Yeah, I don't think this is the one Josh told me about. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you on TikTok.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm always curious where everybody's sourcing their stuff. If there's something better, I'm going to try to. I know it's not going to go well, if anything at all, but there's an ammo company that they opened up a 2025 sponsorship applications. So I'm going to apply for their sponsorship, but I think they're mostly reading the questionnaire and everything. They're mostly looking for high-level competition shooters, but you don't know if you don't ask, right? So it's kind of one of those things. We'll see, but it's like, man, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Even if you just get a 30% discount, it would help.
Oh yeah, something. Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah, because I used to talk about like, hey, give me some of your stuff. I'll talk about it all day. There's a guy that I had on my podcast when we used to do it. And that's what he taught. He was a SWAT guy, and he's like, yeah, I pretty much did all this stuff, really trying to get an ammo sponsor, and now I got an ammo sponsor, and so I do all this stuff now. I'm like, small goals, man, like this. If I could get that, like, I'd be set.
Was it AmmoSeek?
AmmoSeek's one of them. Yeah, they kind of collect whoever's got what. And sometimes I did find out on AmmoSeek, you have to, if they say like a distributor has whatever, like you need to go to that distributor and look, because sometimes AmmoSeek isn't always updated.
Yeah. True.
But so are y'all doing any rifle stuff?
I'm not right now.
It's too expensive right now.
I heard that.
I have my stock. I got 1,000 rounds stocked up, but I'm not willing to shoot it right now.
Yeah, I like rifle. I don't shoot it as much as I would like to by any means. There are some guys that locally here that they do these run and gun events. Have y'all heard of those?
Mm-mm.
So what it is essentially, it's essentially a biathlon with guns.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have like a course that they have to run, and out here it's typically in like West Texas, kind of in the hill country where there's a little bit more terrain in open country. And so it might be 5 miles or something like that. But in between that 5 miles, there are different stages. It's typically all on steel. And they have to shoot those stages as they progress through. How they score it, I think it's like your mile time or your total time, and then your shooting stage times, and they divvy it up however. But it's a combination of like rifle and pistol, intermediate, long range, close range, pretty more tactical type stuff. But these guys, they've taken some classes with me, and I'd like to say that I've become friends with them, right? But they've been trying to coerce me into going doing one of those running guns, and I'm like, okay, first of all, I got to be able to run further than 1 mile, and I'm pressing that as it is right now. So that's gonna be tough there. And then the other thing is just, typically these matches in West Texas for me, that's like 5 hour, 6 hour drive away. It's just hard to cross from the family that long. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. I was not really aware of that till I started talking to them, but it's a popular thing for a select group of folks, kind of like tactical games kind of concept.
Mm-hmm. Well, in Maryland, I was looking up on Practice Score. I can't find anything besides rimfire rifle bullshit.
Oh, really?
I told Josh about it, and he said that there's a Anne Arundel fishing game they're gonna have USPSA. I always fuck that up, but they're gonna start having yeah. But apparently they're going to have some matches coming up in the spring. And then Josh also told me the range that we went to, Rob, they have matches every other Saturday. Like the first and I think he said the first and the fifth. No, I'm sorry. The third Saturday, sorry. And they have all day matches there. So
that's cool. Are y'all trying to prep for start getting involved in some locals?
Yeah, man. I want to do one a quarter this year. So
nice.
Yeah. And then the guys from Be More Tactical, man, watching their videos, I'm like, how these shooting ranges they're going to. I was just telling Crypto Ken the other day. I was like, you guys go to some like fancy, luxurious shooting ranges. Like I thought Gumtree was good, Rob. These places they look like Top Golf. They got freaking steaks and shit in there. You gotta have like full blown meals.
I've seen some places or like the ads for places like that, especially like around the Midwest and places where it's cold, right? It's essentially a country club with a shooting range versus a golf course, right?
Yeah.
It's a cool concept for sure. But yeah, that's interesting. I see Dot's on here. Y'all need to. I would be interested in watching a podcast with Dot. I've kind of chatted back and forth with him a little bit on TikTok.
Hey Dot, hit me up on TikTok, and we'll set up a date.
He had some match footage, and he had Limp Bizkit on it, and I'm like, I'm giving you a like just because of your music choice. That's the only area of music I like. And I was like, my man.
You can't go wrong with a little Limp Bizkit.
No, was it break stuff though? Was it break stuff?
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah.
We might get a copyright.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Limp Bizkit, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I would like to do more rifle stuff. There's actually there's been a couple rifle matches that are literally 15 minutes from my house. But once again, it's ammo and dedicating time to that. Right. I don't dedicate the time to rifle that I do with pistol, mostly because I carry a pistol every day. And then it's typically that's the one that's more difficult to build the more consistent skill on demand with. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last time I shot my AR was when me and Rob went to go sight my EOTech in. And I finally got red dots on my handguns, and I've been doing dry fire with them. Mm-hmm. It's like a freaking cheat code, dude. It's so much easier.
Dimitri,
so did y'all go check out my dry fire targets I sent y'all?
Did you send them to me on as a text message or on TikTok?
I don't remember. Why am I thinking I sent them on email?
Dimitri, maybe? Where'd you get those red dots from?
Oh, from our sponsor, Cocked Firearms. If you go on cockedfirearms.com and use promo code 2AB, you get 10% off the entire website. And they were at my house in 3 days.
Really? Now, what if you buy a gun from Cocked Firearms? What would you do if you needed to get like a holster for it? Where would you go for that?
You go to GoliathDefense.com
wow.
and use 2AB and you get 10% off again.
Mm-hmm. Holy
the entire website.
Whoa, dude.
And it's actually good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
That's what we have for our comp belts and Warhorse ornament, or was it Warhorse or I can't say that. I'm
ordinate.
There you go.
Yeah, and they're good people too. We enjoy working with good people, and those are two killer guys. They really great people.
Yeah, Kyle right now is in Brazil.
Ooh,
yeah. La di da.
Right.
You can also catch us. You can also find us on Amazon, iHeart, Apple, and what am I missing?
Spotify.
And Spotify. You can find us on all those podcast platforms.
Yeah, we have 162 plays on all of them, and we haven't even been on there for 2 months. It's pretty nice. It sucks ass, but it's not bad.
It's just another stepping stone, you know.
Yeah.
You know, how are y'all doing on the audio version?
Pretty good. We're getting around like 15 to 19 plays per week.
Nice.
As of right now. And it's just we got to advertise more, and we just need to do more for it, basically. Just more advertisement and trying to get it on everything.
Nice.
Are you guys reading the chat?
The only thing you heart is other men.
Do we know who that is?
That's not iHeart Radio. It's I Heart Other Men, apparently.
No, I don't know who that is. That says FL Groipy 69. FL Grope Me.
That's the best you can do.
3 followers, no videos posted, no lives, no nothing. It's probably like a troll account.
Is that Florida Groy P 69?
Yeah.
Is that what the FL stands for?
I don't know.
I like it.
Don't read the chat. Just don't read the chat.
I do heart other men, just so you know.
I do like a lot of other men.
Yeah. I find them very comforting.
Yeah.
Listen, well, we're also on X. We're live on X and Kick right now. You can watch the full video version of our podcast there, and of course here in YouTube. But I have a feeling this one will probably be stricken because of the video we played at the beginning of the guy getting shot.
5 men staring at each other. Did that turn you on?
You know,
It's what we like, you know. It's how we enjoy our
Don't
Friday.
entertain it.
Look, if you're not spending your Friday staring at a bunch of men, then you're not doing it right.
Keep going.
Must not be Catholic.
Man.
That's
All right,
good.
gentlemen. Well, I think I'm going to have to call it on y'all. I got to be up early in the morning. I appreciate
sir.
y'all reaching out for me to come on last minute after last time. It was a good time. If y'all have any more debates, I'd be more than happy to join on. That was fun last time.
Dude,
So,
we're put together a debate for March. We have to,
Yeah.
man.
I'll
So
debate you.
Eric keeps sending me people, right? And I shoot messages to him like, "Hey, do you want to have a debate with Fat Guy Cool Hat?" And they either say yes and then they flake, or they just read my message and don't say anything.
So I actually messaged a group of people, and I wanted to. I didn't really want to have a debate with them, but I did want to have a debate with them. They never got back to me. There is a gun club called the SRA. I'm gonna give you
Oh,
one.
the people.
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
people
give
in
you one
Maryland?
chance. I'm gonna give you one chance to guess what the SRA stands for. The Socialist Rifle Association.
Oh, fuck me.
And there are a bunch of LGBTQ commies and socialists, and yes, there are communists in there. I'm not just grouping socialists and communism together. And they have a rifle association. It's actually not just in Maryland. They have nationwide chapters. Yeah. It's all over the place. I messaged them. I messaged the Maryland chapter.
Talk about contradicting yourself.
Yeah, I messaged the Maryland chapter to try to get them on.
Is that a dog?
One of them was, yeah.
Yep, that is the SRA, the Socialist Rifle Association.
Why are they hiding their face?
Oh, I see. So each state has their own, like, they modify the logo a little bit.
Yeah.
So, well, they're welcome to come on and debate.
That's like that Antifa bullshit. What
So-
they hiding their face for?
So if we get them on, you're more than welcome to hop on and debate them.
I tell you what, if y'all get Eric on to debate any of those guys, like Eric's not going to need anybody else, like in that conversation, right? I tell you what, you get anything on with Eric, I will send y'all a photo of me having y'all's YouTube up on my big screen TV, eating popcorn and drinking beer, watching that shit, because that will be primetime entertainment right there.
Hey, Dimitri, you should send them the video that I found of them. There's actually a video, and
oh yeah, they're the little. Someone did a documentary on them.
Is that of the people getting peed on?
Yeah, you should.
No.
No.
Wrong video.
Wrong video. Yeah.
I find some very obscure documentaries, but
I don't think those are documentaries, bro. I think they call them something else.
No, this was actually a documentary about a festival that they have in California where they have little kiddie pools where, it was an actual documentary. Yeah.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining us this Friday. Todd, thank you for coming in clutch today. Go follow us on all the socials. Listen to us on Spotify, and then go follow Todd. Okay, bye.
Go check them out.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Alrighty. God bless you, brother. Thank you again. All right.
And I go to a Christian
Once you
church.
get into that, you start getting into a situation, the slippery slope, where all of a sudden you're going to really violate the Second Amendment. I don't want to do anything to violate the Second Amendment. To me, the Second Amendment is very important. I love this country. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nice closing.